Yeah, I mean, so the kids chose. We have a leadership council, and our leadership council chose it's that time, right, for the year, and they feel that, right. That's it's not something we create. That's not something I've pushed them to. They've got to have buy-in to that, and that's what they believed, and that's what they thought would occur and can occur this upcoming season. And so Waco High has a long and proud tradition in regards to athletics, and especially football, going back to Coach Tusa and consolidation. And so, I mean, this is a big time deal to these kids, because a lot of these kids, their parents graduated from Waco High, and so they hear the stories and they know what it's been, and so they're excited for what they believe can occur in the upcoming season. I think the biggest thing is that we no longer have just a bunch of underclassmen that are all over our roster, right? We have guys with experience. We started 10 sophomores at times last year. Well, all those guys are back. You go down the varsity roster and you see juniors and seniors, and you see one or two sophomores sprinkled in, and that wasn't really the case prior, right? We had to play a lot of those younger kids for a lot of different reasons, whether it was coming out of COVID or whether it is, and so we don't really have those issues this year. And so what that means is you've got kids that understand what to do. They have the physical ability to do it now because they've matured a little bit more. That's a really good thing. And then secondly, I mean, this is the best offseason we've had by a long shot in regards to attendance, kids meeting the daily demands, and the ability to do what's expected and kind of raise the bar. Have some really talented kids and some leaders that are rising out of that group, and so that's really fun to watch and watch that grow. Xavier Amos is a returner, first team all district kid, played running back and linebacker, is a really good ball player for us. Reggie Lewis is a returning first team all district guy, plays slot receiver for us. Had to dabble in quarterback due to injury a little bit last year, but he's a true receiver. Marcus Chandler is another senior receiver that we believe has a lot of talent and can help us. And then of course we have a second team all district returner in Amias Irvin at corner, and really 3 out of 4 at the back end, right? 2 out of 3 at the linebacker. So I mean there's just a lot to like as far as we're talking about returning players and guys that we were really intrigued by. But probably the biggest one is our quarterback towards ACL in the second game last year, and he's back as well as a junior. So he was just one of those sophomores last year. RJ Young, and he'll play a large role obviously in our offense as well. Mason Smith's a returning running back for us. Okay. That's a big time football player that we believe in. Javon Bryant is a senior that was a second team all district kid. He's a returner. He'll be a senior on the D line. So it's important for me to recognize those senior guys because they put in some time, right? They've gone through some lumps. And so you value that because they've been loyal to the cause. Yeah, and I think there's a better understanding of football in general, right? Our schemes have molded to our kids better, which I think is important, right? You learn stuff as a coach. The longer you're at a place, you learn things as players. The longer you're coached by a consistent staff, by people that you know and understand and can relate to and engage. And so I think there's some comfort for sure in what we can do. And ultimately, I'm a defensive-oriented guy. That just helps our kids play faster. But yeah, there's a lot more comfort. I mean, we started 4 sophomore offensive linemen week 1 last year that hadn't been under the lights, hadn't been in front of the band, hadn't been across from a Division I athlete on the other side, and so those kind of nerves and concerns, those are gone. So those kids don't really worry about that. They've been there, they've done that. That's the beauty of some of the things we have coming into the season for sure. Yeah, well, I think your message starts really in off season. I mean, you're trying to set a consistent standard of how kids respond, how they react to certain environments, what they're going to do. But there's no full training, right, for what they feel necessarily on a Friday night. And so the biggest thing is trust your coaching, right? Trust what you've done a million times. Don't overprocess, don't overthink. Thinking in football is bad. I'm sure you've heard that many times. Once you've processed your assignment and what you've got to do, you want to play football and react to what you're supposed to do. So it's really just trust your coaching, trust what you're doing, understand the process of what we're going through. And the kids really did that pretty well last year. I mean, you could feel a change as far as structure and how they responded last year. Even with the product not being maybe where we wanted, there was improvement, right? But maybe not where we wanted. And so now you can feel that even more, obviously, with the upcoming class and just having more time with more kids. There's so much more internal pressure that you put on yourself. There's not really a whole lot that's going to come from the outside or anywhere else that's going to drive that. I feel the pressure to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward and doing the best job for our kids. Yeah. I mean that pressure and at our campus, that kind of comes in a lot of different forms and fashions in regards to how we have to engage our kids and some of the things that we maybe have to do that others don't, and it's a unique blend of how we're trying to do things. But the bottom line is, I mean, from a performance standpoint, it is what it is. You know what you have to do. You got to do the right thing, and we're going to push forward. We're going to keep taking steps. I mean, our goal is to make the playoffs, right? I mean, that is the goal. That would make us very happy. But at the end of the day, we want a winning record, right? I mean, that's our biggest thing is get a winning record, get to the playoffs, because we haven't been there at Waco High from before me for a little while and during our tenure. And so what we want to do is we want to change that narrative. Our kids have worked too hard for us as coaches and as a community to not invest in them and buy into what they've been doing. You really want that for your kids more than anything. And so I want our kids to understand that success is measured, yes, by wins and losses, and we very much believe that on a football field. But in the same breath, we very much want them to understand that success is work, success is time, success is trusting in the process, success. So there, measuring success is a little bit different when it comes. But just football practically, we want to make the playoffs and we want a winning record. There's no doubt.